There are videos circulating online reportedly, and they show China's zero COVID policy police using machine guns to stop passengers from leaving the Xuangbam airport in Yunnan province. The video shared online is being circulated with the caption, Chinese zero COVID policy police officers using machine guns to suppress passengers to stop them from leaving the particular airport in Yunnan province today. The video has amassed thousands of views and comments, and the unverified footage shows people lining up at the airport with guards carrying machine guns while dressed in full protective COVID gear. According to reports, people were heard screaming, "Are you going to kill us all?" And this is once again bringing the kind of ferocity with which China has been trying to curb COVID-19, but to no avail. What kind of a message is this sending to a republic which has already been tormented by the government when it comes to COVID-19, and what kind of a message is this sending to the world at large as well when China and its economy is staring down the barrel? Joining me on the program is Ambassador Deepak Vora, former diplomat. Also with us on the show is Dr. Anil Arora. He's a doctor, gastroenterologist, and last but not the least, Mr. Sumit Peer, political commentator, also joins us on the program. Ambassador Vora, if I can start with you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Well, Ambassador Vora, it seems that the world has moved away and moved on from COVID-19, but China is caught up in this time capsule of still coping with COVID-19 and coping with it in such a stringent manner that they actually have to pull out assault rifles to stop their citizens from boarding something as innocuous as an aircraft.
Sir, thank you very much. Always a pleasure to be on NewsX. Mr. Malhotra, you're a foreign service kid, so it's particularly delightful, and you're an outstanding anchor. Then you have Mr. Peer and Dr. Arora. I learned from both of them. I'm a perpetual learner. So thank you very much, and happy Dussehra to everybody who is watching this program. Sir, I'm very fond of nursery rhymes, so if you permit, I will modify one that I learned. Humpty Dumpty sat on the Great Wall. Humpty Dumpty had a greater fall. Not all his communist chumchas without any friends could put Humpty on the Great Wall again. China sucks. It faces severe issues of anger and ego management. Its greatest problem is the leadership's heavy-handed efforts to control the people and thus the economy. Now, COVID police is a new concept in the world, but it gives employment to some useless Chinese fellows. Since they cannot attack the virus, the next option is to attack the people. Zero COVID policy has locked down major cities, closed ports. Combine this with the jingoist vaccine stance. Only Chinese vaccines have been approved. And the country's low performance in full vaccination of its elderly is evident. Over a third of Chinese above 65 have not been vaccinated. Sir, in India, as the doctor will tell you, the professor, 99% of adults have received at least one dose of the COVID vaccine. 95% have been fully vaccinated. Come on, ping pong, go drown in your own whatever you do in the morning. There is fear of losing face, such as by approving a foreign vaccine that performs better. Hubris about the leader's ability to manage complex systems. Super megalomaniacs like ping pong have become emperors and Führers, served by underlings who never question their most irrational orders. This video, sir, some of my friends from Hong Kong have sent me a message saying it is accurate, it is true. And this is happening now in more than one airport in China. In railway stations, they're not allowing people to travel. So you remember when the banks most recently collapsed in Hunan province, what did the Chinese do to crush the protesters who had gathered outside? Happy birthday, they sent in tanks. Next, they'll fire an atomic weapon at these poor fellows. Well, welcome to China. Welcome to China that is at the precipice, waiting for just that little push. It'll topple over. The Communist Party will. China will, of course, recover. So, sir, what you're seeing today, this video, it's disgusting. It's completely unacceptable, and it just proves to me that megalomaniac, that tingling, dingling, whatever the fellow's name is, he has totally lost his mind.
All right, well articulated, sir. Dr. Arora, first up, apprise us and update us on what the COVID situation, according to you, is in China. Are these signs to be worried about, considering that every information that does not come out of China, potentially does leak out of China, and is greeted in such a way by the world that it's harmful at the end of the day. If this is the kind of severity, and if this is the kind of strictness which is being shown at airports, is this something to be worried about?
Is a question to me, Vineet?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you for having me on your show, and I wish you all a very happy Dashera. As Dr. Vora very rightly said, there is so much of obscurity and lack of transparency in what is happening in China. And if you recently would have read the transient disappearance of their chief, so it is possible that this is just an anger of the Politburo onto the public. Since, as you very rightly said, you cannot attack the virus, get rid of the people who may be getting infected. But to be scientifically correct, we need to have good information, and the source of good and consistent information from China is almost always lacking. Nobody knows. Then when the world was down with the first, second and third perfidious waves of the COVID-19, what was the quantum of the disease in China? How many people have been vaccinated by what vaccine? All this is by speculation, by tits and bits of the videos flying here and there. There is no official news agencies. And as you have already seen, even WHO data presented by China has been manipulated. And we do not have the raw data. It is possible that a lot of people have still not been exposed, and their zero tolerance policy may be useful. But the way they have been going around with machine guns, that does not stand to the logic by any scientific community. There are civilized way of controlling the virus, as has been mentioned, by the use of the vaccination, by isolation, but certainly not by the brute force which is being used. And I believe that this brute force is being used as an error, because there has been recent uprising against the Politburo. Maybe I may not be the politician to comment upon that, but that may be the factor which may be contributing to it.
All right. Okay. Sumit Peer, if you can hear me.
Yeah.
Sumit, along with the rest of the world, you have been particularly stung by China on various occasions. And, you also had COVID-19. You used to frequent China and Hong Kong, I remember, before the COVID-19 days. Things, greatly changed between India and China. We saw all those things unravel, apps being banned, what happened in Galwan and Eastern Ladakh. All of those things are still not water under the bridge. And here we are once again talking about China and its ways of controlling people. Is this the same pathology with which they tried to control the world and it backfired? And this is the same philosophy and pathology with which they are trying to control their own citizens, and it's likely to backfire?
Vinny, thank you very much for having me on your show. When it comes to Chinese citizens, they are property of Communist Party of China. They are not people like you and me who breathe fresh air. Communist Party of China, by its constitution, owns them. They are property, unki auqat, unki malkiyat, everything is owned. And literally the slaves who are living on the mercy of Chinese Communist Party. And the General Secretary is the king. So you don't have a king, you call him a General Secretary. Now let's go back and look into some facts. First of all, this is the country of the Tiananmen Square. If you could crush your students under tanks in broad daylight, obviously people, when they're seeing machine guns, they know something like that can happen in there. So if they can use tanks on their own students in the Beijing, why not on an airport they can have the machine guns going wild and doing a massacre there? When the people are crying, "Are you going to kill us all?" The apprehensions are very right, because they know what happened in Tiananmen Square. It's all the world knows rather. Now let's look at the hypocrisy of China. First of all, I was looking at some numbers as usual. This Worldometer and all, which are the most reputed sites, the Worldometer says today they were 253,000 as on date, Dashera ke din, 253,000 active cases, and the people who are cured are around 243,000. The people who have died are 5,600. Now it leaves 5,200. It leaves 2,800 active cases. 2,800 active cases as per the Chinese published data, as per the international sites published data. For 2,800 cases, do you need to shelter 80 crore people for 10 months? Which variant of virus is that which lasts for 10 months? Do you need to have, after every 100 meters, do you need people carrying rifles? And on the airports, do you need machine guns? And you need the tanks on the roads of Beijing and the province. And instantly with that, your banks run dry, so you send tanks. Yesterday in Shenzhen, a couple of days before, if you go back to your house, you could not enter your apartment because your QR code will not allow you to enter the apartment because you're not done your so-called COVID test, some crazy COVID test with Chinese Communist Party doctors. Maybe ping pong is the final judge who decides who has got COVID, who has not got COVID. So with this kind of things happening, with a history of disaster, I fail to understand. Zero COVID is talking of if I'm a developed country or if I'm a super developed country, Dr. Saab will bear me out. I say I will have zero death. Is zero death possible for humanity? No. Only you have to reduce the fatality of the virus, which every country has done. Now, after the SCO, she went for hiding. After SCO, the world is running fine. The whole country is running fine. Hotels, trains, airports, everybody are doing best. Why is China shutting down its people? Two reasons. First of all, remember, Vineet, it was your show, a year or a half back, where we're discussing about the so-called Chinese virus or vaccine, whatever you call it. The one doctor said it has 70 side effects and 30 fatal side effects. Now the question is, can we agree today with what we are seeing here, that a Chinese virus or the vaccine, whatever you call it, has failed? Now the question is, if it has failed, now look at that good doctor who told us there are 30 fatal side effects. So how many people are dying in China? Question should be today, how many millions or how many 100,000s are dying in China? Because the vaccine doesn't work. Even the government of China doesn't trust its vaccine. God save those countries who were given $2 billion of loan and asked to buy the Chinese vaccine to save their people. I don't know, God is only their, is only their guardian. I don't know what is happening to those countries. Now, second part is we also had a doctor who told us first there was a Chinese virus. Then incidentally, that doctor died in the ICU. The second doctor who told us that there are 30 fatal side effects and 70 side effects in the vaccine, the doctor again disappeared. Now, is it a tale of disaster? Are people literally dying in China? The economy is collapsing. There's a drought. Millions of hectares of land are drought. Out of 5 rivers, 4 have done right. The Brahmaputra or Yangtze is running at 40% of the water. The Chinese economy is crumbling. They're doing forced shutdowns. There's no coal. There's no power. Shipping is not happening. Exports are not happening. The economic outlook is down to less than 3%. Now, with all these tales of disasters happening, I don't know which is the variant of virus which lasts for 10 months. What is the need of closing 80 crore people when your active cases which are 2,800? Okay. I mean, the numbers simply don't add up. There is something which is much bigger happening. We need, if these people start hitting the roads and asking for jobs, there are no jobs.
But that's the issue, right? That's the issue, Ambassador Vora.
The economy is conking off. So
that's the issue, right? That's the big issue, right, Ambassador Vora, that these people are not hitting the road because they have been, tutored. They have been trained to be petrified of the CCP. In fact, Ambassador Vora, the situation is so bad in China that people have been converted into QR codes. They are scanned before they enter their own apartments. And if that scan turns out to be red, they are not allowed to enter their own homes and are made to sleep on the streets. And yet, we are not seeing any kind of, an upheaval from the people in China.
I believe the people of China are revolting. They are mocking the PLA police, threatening them with machine guns at this regional airport. There are many such other instances that we don't know about. The people's movement against a demented, dangerous thug who oppresses them is gathering momentum. Sir, the people of China, Communist China, increasingly see the law, the regime, and the party as their enemies that know only how to intimidate. Communist China is the greatest con of our century. I urge you and the millions of people watching your show, if you can get hold of Milton Mayer's 1950s classic, They Thought They Were Free, about the German people and how they were deluded by a character called Adolf Hitler. What does Mayer say? What happened was the gradual habituation of the people, little by little, to being governed by surprise, to receiving decisions deliberated in secret, to believing that the situation was so complicated that the government had to act on information which the people could not understand. Or the information was so dangerous that it could not be released because of national security, and only the chap sitting in the forbidden city because they have a hotline to heaven or to hell or whatever they believe in, only they know what is going on. Sir, there is a pair of great maxims which I follow very carefully. It's Principis obsta finem respis. Resist the beginnings, consider the end. The people of China are foreseeing the end of their communist paradise. And I conclude, sir, by quoting former Mongolian President Xiaojin Elbergord. I know him, who has met ping pong 30 times. He wrote in September last year, a year ago, she demonstrates, as many in history have before him, that it is possible to be charismatic in person and dangerous and autocratic on the world stage. She is evil. I rest my case.
Great points there. Great points there. Dr. Arora, in terms of, the world resuming and moving on after COVID-19, do you think there seems to be more caution now to be observed when dealing with China? a lot of countries made the mistake of still allowing people coming back and forth into and from China to their land and their country. Is that something which needs to be a top priority for a country such as India while dealing with China? Everything is back to normal now.
Yeah, but if you look at the relation, Vineet, we have with China recently, with almost daily they have been having the double speak of trying to de-escalate at the LOC on the northeastern front. I don't think we can ever believe the Chinese. So far as medical aspect of the travel between the two countries, it is very clear that majority of the population in India has either been exposed incidentally or accidentally to the virus, or we have been able to do a good job of vaccinating 90% of the adult population. But if you go still by the dogma of what is left in India, India still has a largest pool of the unvaccinated people in the world, even though 90% of the population has either been exposed or vaccinated. Since there continues to be total obscurity and the lack of transparency on the quantum of infection, which is just a speculation, as Sumit said, there may be hundreds of thousands of the people who may be dying in China, but then there is no official way of knowing it. In any case, I don't think we are going to ease out our relations so soon. And by the time our people reach there, it is very important that all those who are vaccinated should be allowed to travel, and we should have a strict guard at our airport, especially for the people coming from China, to be sure that they have been vaccinated or they have got the antibody level. So we should not let our guard down. We should continue to have up our ante in terms of protection against the virus, because the virus has still not been found to be eradicated from the world, even though our mask has been finished from Delhi, and we have been asked to having no fine by now in Delhi also. But even WHO or the government of India has still not called it a day. I think we have to keep up our pitch.
Sumit Peer?
Yeah.
Caution is the word of the day when dealing with such a situation. If you are seeing these images being admonished and criticized throughout the world, and China still being in the realm of hazmat suits and masks and sanitizers and whatnot, there definitely is something that they're hiding.
Vineet, there are three aspects. The point number one is that when Chinese PLA or CCP or whoever is carrying machine guns on their airport and putting them to their own people, so that means Chinese people should be immediately stopped from coming to India, because things seem to be out of the control, looking at the tanks, machine guns, and everybody carrying a rifle after every 100 meters. So this is the only country in the world where COVID management is not done by the able doctors, is done by the people with machine guns and tanks. So there's a difference here. The point number three is, look, they bred the virus. We know where the virus came from. The world might act an ostrich today, but we know the virus came from Wuhan. We know the white woman. We know our links to PLA. We know our links to the CCP. There's all open secret out there. Now, the question is there a different variant which they are breeding? Is there another variant which is out of control? Is there a different virus altogether which is out of control, and they are not letting the world know, they're just fooling the world? And should world again fall prey to their previous designs? Like, you see, Vineet, last time, the virus was leaked in Wuhan. Wuhan is the only place which is internationally most connected. So when people came from Chinese New Year, they got infected, and on jet speed, virus reached across all the countries in the world like this. So now Chinese New Year is around the corner, and we don't know what these people are doing. I think world should already start thinking that should they have a travel ban from going and coming from China? Because if that is the position. By the way, WHO, so-called Wuhan Health Organization or World Health Organization, whatever is the latest name, has also told that this virus, this zero COVID is not sustainable. United Nations has told you zero COVID is not sustainable. All the medical bodies and even the FDA has told zero COVID policy is not sustainable. The question is, what are they hiding? How many are dying? Is the economy really conking off? Are they keeping people in the home? Because if they go for work, they find there's no work, banks will collapse, everything will collapse, and the facade will come breaking down. Is a disaster they are preventing? I've already written, I think 2 years back, China is brewing an economic pandemic. Is that economic pandemic the new pandemic which is coming? Is a new variant of virus, is a new kind of virus, but something is cooking there which is pretty bad for all of us. This time around, I would urge everybody, let's not fall prey to China's tricks. Let's not fall to their designs. We have to protect our own people. You see, great cultural revolution and giant leap forward. They killed 6 crore of their 6 crore of their own people. Hitler only killed 1/3 of that, and Hitler is known everywhere. But Mao was a much bigger dictator. Mao killed more people than 3 Hitlers put together, and their own people. If this is how they handle own people, didn't Mao tell Pandit Nehru that it's okay if a few million Chinese die? if Great China Cultural Revolution giantly forward and what he told Nehruji, if you combine everything, we don't know what they're bringing. We need, if they can kill 6 crore of own the people in a one failed chota mota experiment, then what is your and my life to you? What is to them? What is the your and my life or anybody's life for the world economy? They took $20 trillion of the world economy, because of which 110 countries have written to IMF for a bailout. The world might survive the virus, but can world survive a new virus, a new disaster, or an economic pandemic which are brewing? They are brewing something. It is very, very sure, and they will not let you know by the time it will reach our doorstep. Now the caution is with us. The ball is still in our court. I will urge the government of India and everybody to stop travel to China immediately. We should stop their flights very immediately, because if this is the flight, they're definitely breeding or hiding something in it.
All right. Well, that sums it up, that they're definitely hiding or concealing something. And we know, we have learned, we have suffered to the last time around when China tried to hide something. We take a short break, thanking everyone for being a part of this conversation.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.